I love building LEGO Star Wars creations, and in this video I'm going to show you dozens of my custom LEGO Star Wars creations inspired by iconic Star Wars scenes from films, TV series and games, as well as my own fan-made battles that I built in 2024. Let's start with the first 3 builds of the year, where I recreated maps from the Battlefront 2. The first one, the Streets of Tatooine, was a compact build where I made some crates and a moisture evaporator seen on the planet. For the second one, I recreated this clone barracks on Kamino. To capture the aesthetic of this Battlefront 2 location, the wall pattern with included door design were the most important part, that needed to be done right, and I think they turned out great. The third one here was a recreation of the location for the second objective in Galactic Assault on Takodana. Most of the hill was done using a side building technique, to make it as natural looking as possible. One of the highlights for me was definitely the turbo laser design, and I'm definitely going to implement it into the future creations. Overall, I'm very happy with accuracy I managed to achieve with this creation. Next project on the list are my upgrades for mini builds of the Clones and Droids battle pack, which consisted of a heavily upgraded clone defensive turret, my own design for a minifigure scale stab droid, Republic bark speeder with a back gunner position, and a recolor of my older design for a tri-droid. Then I used these designs in the battle on Rhinox 5, a planet I came up with when I needed my own Star Wars world for some creations, that had a really appealing color palette and a grounded design, in a way inspired by Cetos from the Ahsoka series. Additionally, it has these bigger rock formations that elevate the entire landscape. I'm definitely going to revisit and build up on this custom world in the future creations. Next two creations recreate maps from the 2005 Battlefront 2 game. This one here, A Conquest on Maikito, was a tricky map to translate into a nice LEGO build, as the locations in that game are big and there isn't much of the details present. Similar thing here in the Conquest on Kashyyyk, which recreates a part of the Republic fortifications that are huge in comparison to the troopers, but still it was a nice nostalgic trip to the game and its maps that I loved playing as a kid. In June, I created 3 various clone-based designs, starting with this little 8 minutes camp on Salekumai. Following that, we have here Republic Outpost, for which I chose darker color scheme to create a nice contrast against the snowy and frosty terrain. After that, I made my biggest clone base of 2024, located somewhere in the Outer Rim. I wanted to create something fresh, so I decided to go with a combination of dark tan and medium nougat for the terrain. I had similar approach for the base, for which I created a large side panel, that combined with other fun design choices would create an interesting looking base, at least I hope so. Overall, I really like how well the base blends in with the rock formation, and the whole scene feels nicely completed and tells its own little story. Next up are 3 scene recreations from Star Wars Rogue One. First one here, recreating one of the first frames of the movie, the arrival of Director Krennic. The second one is recreating a part of the desperate rebel attack on Scarif, where I built a part of the Imperial platform surrounded by exotic jungle. I'm really happy with the composition of this scene. The third Rogue One scene has this location from the Jeddah city, where a certain blind guy took down a bunch of stormtroopers with a stick. There was a lot of interesting techniques in this build, used mainly to recreate the curved buildings and rounded shapes. I also made sure to put a bit of detail and texture, yeah, who am I kidding, a lot of it. This resulted in a great final effect. The creation faithfully recreates the scene, it references and packs a lot of little details that I'm super happy with. Next on the list are 3 creations based on Star Wars Rebels, starting things off with the chopper, placing some explosives. Following that, we have the lightsaber duel on Tatooine from the 3rd season, where Ben Kenobi and Maul fought for the last time. The setting was really straightforward, with all the action taking place around the campfire, so I kept the simplicity of the location to faithfully represent that scene. To finish Rebels creations, I decided to recreate Imperial office of none other than Grand Admiral Thrawn from one of my favorite episodes of the series. This was a truly fun scene to bring to life, especially working on the various artifacts Thrawn has collected over the years, to make monotonic grey room a bit more interesting. Following that, we have 3 creations based on another animated TV series, The Clone Wars, and here is a 3-minute build of 5s on Umbara. Now we have here another scene from the Umbara arc, but this time a tragic moment for the clones when they were misled and drawn into a friendly fire. The accurate recreation of vegetation and landscape of Umbara was a key element of this build that allowed for a very unique creation. Then I built this speeder battle between the Republic and the Separatists, which was based on the 11th episode of the 4th season, that had a very exotic planet with some interesting ground pattern for which I used the side building technique. For this mock I designed this minifigure scale droid speeder, as well as a sidecar for my Republic bark speeder. The whole creation came out very cool thanks to the vibrant colors, design of the source location and the contrasting speeders. Later that year I was going to create 3 Star Wars bases in 3 days, which turned into a way bigger project than anticipated. But I made some cool looking bases and I will try that challenge again sometime in 2025. The first build was a heavily fortified Imperial base on Aldhani, inspired by the first season of Andor TV series. Creating the rounded tower on the side was a fun challenge, as well as creating the industrial look which fits the Imperial aesthetics so well. Same goes for these crates, cargo boxes and treasure. All these elements combined resulted in a nicely packed with details creation that captures very well the Imperial styled fortifications seen on Aldhani. Of course it wouldn't be the base without some interior space, right? Then I built a Republic communications center on Salekomai, which had this very characteristic color palette for the terrain, an AT-RT under the material cover, a big communication device with Grand Army of the Republic symbols with an antenna attached to it, a heavy gunner position, and lots of exotic plants and vegetation. It was a truly fun build and a quite unique take on a clone-based creation. Additionally, it was packed with various little details and the freeform style of terrain allowed this build to shine. The third and the final base was this First Order Recon outpost that was inspired by a part of the oscillator from the Starkiller base. To create the design of this rather complex base, I had to make a very durable support structure with Technic parts, as well as the main entrance in the style of the First Order, simplistic yet highly textured back panel with vents, a nice and compact interior space with control panels, a big armored panel with loads of details, textures and a window integrated with the panel that was connected to the side of the base and mirrored to be connected to the other side. And finally this large roof component with additional vents. All these elements allowed to create not only a unique Star Wars base, but a highly unusual LEGO creation in general. In 2024 this channel achieved quite a lot, and there are great plans for it, its content and new creations in 2025. If you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to check out the next one, visible on the screen. See you soon!